Belgium, guys. This is Hardik, and today we are going to be speaking more about AI versus hackers. Like, what's going to be the future of smart contract auditing? As you all know, smart contract security has always been moving a target. Over the past few years, exploits have grown more sophisticated, losses have grown larger, and the stakes for getting security right have increased dramatically. At the same time, I believe there's another shift which has been happening in parallel, which is AI systems have become like significantly better at writing codes, reviewing logic, and identifying vulnerabilities. Today we have like a few great folks from the industry. First off, we have Sasho from Hack and Proof. Then we have Tim from Pyramid Labs. We have Tomer from Auditware, and lastly we have got Siddharth from Cairo. So welcome, guys. Welcome to the stream. First thing first, I would love to know more about you guys, what you guys have been building so far, what you guys are up to, and how the industry has been serving. So yeah, Sid, would you like to go first?
Yeah, for sure. So just a little bit of context on me. I'm the founder of Cairo, and the primary thing we focus on is just security within the whole development cycle. Yeah, and for us, the biggest thing has kind of been focusing on a lot of these large stage companies, as well as a lot of the growth companies that are focusing on this whole, development process. So kind of focusing really on security and how we can really get to that next level right now.
Awesome. Tim, you are next.
Yeah, hi everyone. So I'm Tim, founder of Pyramid Labs. We're actually doing more of AI than Web3 today, focusing a lot about orchestrating AI agents and creating verifiable systems based on that. Yeah, I have quite a bit background on Web3 security, so that's one of my first pillars to explore. However, the big shift in the focus of my work as a founder now is yeah, how to bring all of this AI technology to work for everyone's wealth.
Awesome. Yeah, Tomer, over to you, man.
Yeah, so I'm a CTO at Auditware. We're a Web3 auditing firm, but like other than the regular, smart contract vulnerabilities and issues, we also have a lot of Web2 background that our like the founders carried with us over time. So we're also wanting to help protocols develop more secure infrastructure, tooling ecosystem, and we have our platform that's called Sentry, which is basically aggregator for any of our knowledge and open source tools that we constantly develop as like one place to monitor your whole stack. So that's basically it.
That's awesome, man. All right. So next up, we have Alex. Over to you, man.
Yeah, hi there. I'm Alex. I'm a CDO at Hack and Proof. It's a Web3 crowdsourced security marketplace, I would say. We mostly focused on bug bounties, but yeah, now in AI era, we are fighting a lot with AI submissions because AI is good in code development, but also good in security issue discovery. And for sure, like many false positives there. I think like we will discuss it a bit later today. Yeah, but yeah, uh, joining this new era of AI and trying to solve new modern challenges there. Sure.
Absolutely. So,
Yeah.
I mean, once we hear about AI performing smart contract auditing, there arises a very natural question for the entire Web3 ecosystem, which is, can AI meaningfully change how smart contract auditing actually works, or are we still fundamentally dependent on human intuition and experience? And that's, a lot more uncomfortable angle to this, where I see AI isn't just a tool for defenders. Attackers can eventually use the same capabilities to scan code bases, generate exploits, or maybe to automate vulnerability discovery as well. So, the real question becomes, in the new environment, who actually gains this advantage, the auditors or the hackers? And for this way, I would like to start off with the very first question, which is for Sasho. So, Sasho, this question is for you, man. Has any AI-powered submission on Hack and Proof ever uncovered a critical vulnerability that traditional manual hunting likely would have missed, or is it still mostly the human intuition that catches up the deep stuff?
Yeah, to be honest, I think like we are in very dangerous era right now, just because for black hats, well, for sure they use all these AI solutions and they help them to discover issues. But why it's dangerous is because it was always easier to attack than defend. because for attackers you just need to find one issue, while for defenders you should catch them all before, and for black hats it definitely become much easier to target the different companies. And from defender side, like, we receive a lot of submission, and most of bounty platforms suffering from it at that moment, because a noise to signal radio is like huge. Like, you receive like more than half of the submissions are generated by AI. For sure, many of them are valuable, and some of them could lead to critical losses. Like, the best use, the best case which we've seen so far was the AI discovery issue, which was marked as critical, and the whitehead got payout of 500K, yeah, in bounties, the huge amount of money. But cases like this also attract more people who don't aware about security at all, because they think like, okay, I can just paste the code into ChatGPT, generate 100 submissions, now report them all over the platform, and if one of them will be paid, I'm good. Yeah. So yeah, right now we are fighting with spam, and it's really important to catch that middle in the stack, where the valid submission is hiding, and don't miss it for sure in that AI slopes. But answering the question if the real person wouldn't catch it, I think it would. Like, it always like this, but maybe for human it would require much more time to find it, and like AI helping to do it on a scale. If you're a good security engineer, you can scan 10 code bases in the same time, yeah. While being without it, you would spend much more time checking them one by one manually, etc. So yeah, crazy
That's
times,
true.
guys. We are
That's
living
true.
in crazy times.
Absolutely, yes. So, traditional auditing has always relied heavily on deep manual review, and, experienced auditors going line by line through complex code bases is something which everyone looks forward at. But as contracts grow more complex and code bases expand, the question is whether AI can realistically scale at that process. So next up, I have this question from you, Tim. You have worked at Open Zeppelin, I believe, which set the gold standard for manual smart contract audits. And now at Pyramid Labs, you're building the intersection of AI and Web3 security. So, what's the biggest gap you saw in traditional auditing space that made you believe AI-driven approaches were necessary?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that one of the reasons, like major reason why I joined Web3 and blockchain generally was, there's more power to the people, if I can say, but make it more accessible, hard banking infrastructure, make it more decentralized by having more operators as well. And audits here are still a very crucial part of the business. You really, if you want to have some protocol which you stake in a lot, you have to have some guarantees or some checks, and it's all about, and it's super expensive. And yes, Open Zeppelin is one of the greatest companies in terms of service, and it's amazing to see how it works from inside. But however, still, it still is very, very, very inaccessible to the regular developer to, hire those companies. And I see that AI has this like, tremendous opportunity to make it more accessible for wide scope usage. And I've seen already developers, using these automated audit scanners from companies, and it not necessarily has to find all of the vulnerabilities the human audit would do. However, it can help those hackers who are in the growth stage stay safe and make it more accessible.
That's cool. I mean, so I have this a follow-up question from you as well, Tim, which is, Pyramid Labs does both smart contract auditing and verifiable AI dataset generation. So how critical is training data quality for AI auditing tools? And do you think most AI security products in Web3 today are actually trained on good enough data to be trusted?
Mm, mm. Yeah, it's a good one. So, like in a way, there is no like bad data in machine learning. At the end of the day, you need to have like bad examples and the good examples, right? So every company in Web3 space has tremendous, this amount of data and patterns. AI is good in patterns matching. So whenever we have some process that is well established, we want to just document it, and like ultimate form of documenting is training a model which is good at that. So all of the data is good. However, the challenge and just for the context of Pyramid Labs doesn't really does audits ourselves anymore. We're more like focused on partnering with the companies, because I believe what we do it has greater scope, because we just try to provide generic technology. Because the challenge I see certainly with data sets, is that it's not just about having some, here's vulnerability database, here's how vulnerable code looks. It's also a lot about how did you reach to that conclusion, and that process. It's a trade secret of the companies. It's a question of intellectual property, and it brings very interesting philosophical discussion right now happening about where even like the company IP ends up and starts to individual researchers' way of thinking about the problems. And this is how the companies are formed together. Individuals have their forms of thinking, eventually, if I can say, private key inside, right? Which makes you unique. And that translates to the companies. Companies have their patterns, and they translate it to their customers, etc. And for me, the work on verifiable data sets is work on this trusts, which you can have from individual, that their IP is being estimated and calculated and properly attested in a data set, which eventually is used to train anything. And we've done great work so far. So we've proven that the protocol we're actually using, it gives an increased reasoning capacity. And eventually it's also, to help those audit companies, because one of the things I saw personally in many service companies I worked before is that it's very hard to build service company to build a product. So what we are doing is we're trying, to bring these technologies public code, which is source available, that audit companies, Web3 security firms can run themselves, and have this kind of pushback on what's going to happen, that there will be like Anthropic, OpenAI, etc., doing their security scanners as well, and just tie it back to eventually that very fundamental way of thinking and the depth of that access, not just rather having plain list of the vulnerabilities you found, but having the process documented as well. Yeah.
That's true. I mean, I'm quite amazed by the works what Pyramid Labs has been trying to put forward, and that's really true that all the data present over the internet is actually not yet decided whether it's quite trustable enough or not. But one more interesting thing about security is that not every exploit actually comes from the smart contract code itself. Operational mistakes, infrastructure issues, and monitoring failures often create just as many problems. And coming back to this point, I have this next question from you, Tomer. So, AuditWare goes beyond just smart contract code. You do OPSEC audits, infrastructure security, and continuous monitoring with your Sentry platform. You also created the W3OS standard. Do you think the industry focuses too much on smart contract code, or is it it just ignores the operational security layer where most of the money actually gets stolen?
Yeah, that's definitely well put, because it's making a lot of sense for small protocols to care first and foremost about the smart contract, because smart contract is a rather compact code base, and almost every line is somewhat related to you losing all your funds, and it's definitely the most scary aspect. So I do get why the trend of if you take 2 years back, then no protocol company did only the most serious ones did the audits for anything else rather than the code of the smart contract. But the smart contract also have a front end, and in the simplest example, if someone injects a cross-site scripting to the front end, and then you think you deposit to the protocol something and it's not your address, it's very, very easily also a point of complete protocol devastation. But it's sort of left out because it's less probable also to make mistakes, because the frameworks and just how front end back end works, it's much more easier to grasp and do right, even though a lot of people get it wrong. So that's one side, like the website. And the other side, even riskier, I don't know, is the employees, because us, me and Joe, the other founder, then we came from Web 2 background. So like an employee working on the code base of your company and not having an EDR installed in the, let's say, the old people ways, I don't know how to call it, then it's like crazy, because you don't have like an active threat capability, monitoring capability on your device, and you're doing like sensitive stuff. So what's stopping a developer from doing an npm install to like some package and getting his device compromised, and hence, I don't know, upgrade the contract to steal all the funds? So the risks are like much more granular, but the workforce is also like with different use cases. So we always say, like, for protocols, that around 10% of the TVL should be like security, and not only smart contract audits, but everything that you have out there that is a risk, and it's very hard to monitor, track. And yeah, so to your question, I definitely get it, why it's like this contract first. I wouldn't say, I even wouldn't say that you first should start with your backend infrastructure or employees. I would say the smart contract is definitely the scariest, but after you do so, like, keep some percentage of that budget to the complete picture, because there are like major pitfalls also there.
That's true. That's true. That's true. So I mean, Tomer, like you have built multiple open source security tools. I believe eBurger was one of them for Solidity static analysis and Radar for Rust. And now you have already published AI agents instructions for smart contract auditing with your context framework. So from your hands-on experience building these tools, where exactly does AI add real value in the audit workflow, and where does it still fall flat?
Yeah, so if you take eBurger or like any like tools from like before the recent AI hype, then tools were always something you want to do, like enter, get some like free issues, and then report them and have it do all of it for you. And always it's the dream that it does that, and in reality it's more like 5% or like 1% of the work, or maybe getting you engaged. The context framework and what I've tried to share there is practically just Claude skills. And right now there's like a hype, if you go to Twitter, around like a full audit skill, but I don't think there's such thing, because it's still the human that has to be the driver. So for me, for example, even though I published this skill, I barely use that skill specifically that does everything from end to end, but I do like mini skills that for like certain places. I have like 7 Claude Code instances open, and each one I gave it like a complete other focus area in the code. Maybe you do a bit of like infrastructure aspect, you do like POC generation, and I have these different fillers for what I try to do as human. And it's more like me gaining a free team of 10 junior developers rather than AI replacing my job, because I think it's like good hype, because if you run it once and you run it on a small scale, you will get rather good results. But the more complex the code base, and the more issues there are, and the more like potential attack surface, the worse it gets. And that's what people can't and don't really benchmark. So I guess it's very easy to advertise, oh, look, it replaced like a bug worth like 500K, but the point to get there is very hard. In the contrast, like, so that's my answer. The complete opposite of that is that basically attackers now have much more access to knowledge than they used to have. So, for example, if you would have wanted to know, like let's take the big guys, let's take the Pashov from Pashov Audit Group. So if you would want as an attacker to know exactly what he knows and like take his brain and like his knowledge and apply it maliciously, now you're more capable to do it, because we publish these skills publicly and it's like public knowledge now. So his methodology that would not have been published otherwise is now like out there, because that's how we work now. So that's also crazy. We definitely have to get on front of AI finding bugs before us, but it's more work for us, not less. And also protocol developers are hallucinating much more AI code. You see, if you like, AI was something you hide that you do like a year back, then if you would AI develop a smart contract, you would hide that fact. Now you see Claude like as one of the contributors in the repo. You just see him
Yes,
there.
absolutely.
So yeah.
I mean, it's like quite amazing, seeing everyone around building their own AI agents for respective of the things is like really, really interesting. And there's another major shift we are seeing is moving away from the idea that security only happens before deployment. So, increasingly teams are thinking about security as something that needs to happen continuously during development. And henceforth, I have this next question from you, Siddharth. So, Cairo is positioning itself as the world's first continuous AI-powered smart contract security platform embedded directly in CI/CD pipelines. So, what makes continuous AI auditing fundamentally different from just running an AI scanner before deployment? And probably if you can share a real-life example where catching something mid-development has actually saved a protocol from some serious vulnerability. I believe you're on mic. You're on mute, Mike. Yeah.
Yeah, hello? Yeah,
Yes.
so I guess like one of the biggest factors to really take a look at here is just all the different things that actually go into a smart contract security audit. The environment alone plays a huge factor, as opposed to just the simple auditing process that we're looking at. So the logic, the code, every single line is one thing, but also taking a look at the actual environment around it is also huge. And we've seen a lot of these like static analyzers with just like a lot of these traditional smart contract security things. But I think the biggest thing comes from these continuous AI auditing platforms that actually run inside the CI/CD workflow. One, for the reason that it is a lot easier to actually go on when you are developing the smart contract, but also every single a commit pull that you make, it studies each of those, every single one of those things. So the way that we've designed a lot of our logic is it tracks a lot of the behavioral permission, as well as like the economic changes that are actually going on across all the different versions of the actual smart contract development cycle alone. So through having a model that's able to do this, we're able to track a lot more of these actual vulnerabilities initially when they're introduced and along like right before they actually go on mainnet as well. So this helps a lot with just like the actual iteration cycle. And it helps the ML model actually being able to study the data that's being fed through each and every single version, and propose changes that way as well. So for example, during like one of the developments of like a lending DeFi protocol, there was like a refactor issue, and then that led to like a liquidation bonus that went from initially 5% all the way up to like 50%. So a lot of the tests that we passed in, it went through, but then that change alone also created like a profitable self-liquidation exploit. So because of the continuous auditing cycle that we were running on this lending protocol, we were able to flag it within the first pull request and then prevent like a huge protocol outbreach.
That's cool. I mean, Cairo's AI agent can write smart contracts and fix vulnerabilities and also audit them all from natural language. So that sounds like an AI reviewing its own AI generated code.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how do you prevent a closed feedback loop where the same biases in generation carry over into the audit, and should protocols trust a single AI system to do the both?
Yeah, 100%. So I guess the biggest thing comes down to what we're really focusing on right now. So right now we're focusing more on the security. The development's kind of been more for individual developers. But even between that, the biggest key differentiation comes between the actual agent separation. So one, actually being able to generate the code, and then a separate audit agent that we're calling it that actually helps with a lot of the security analysis feedback loops that we're talking about here as well. So through using like deterministic security tooling, we're able to perform like static analysis, symbolic execution, just various forms of property testing, economic attack simulation. So we're able to apply like a sort of differential analysis that is actually able to better track a lot of the behavioral changes that are taking place across the CI/CD development cycle. So being able to properly flag a lot of the shifts that take place in like permissions, a lot of the state transitions, as well as like the other incentives that actually go into it. We're able to use AI as like a better form of like a continuous security layer. And while like I guess trust is definitely like a huge thing, especially within this field right now, being able to actually fully trust AI with everything that you're doing. So integrating and first starting off with it not taking over the auditing cycle, but using it as like a continuous security layer, while a lot of the human and manual auditors still remain a part of the, the final verification of the whole process.
Absolutely, yes. Absolutely, yes. And I mean, I was just, circling back to the bug bounty side of the ecosystem
Yeah.
where vulnerabilities are discovered in the wild and reported by researchers across the world. And to sum this up, I have this very last and interesting question from you, Alex. With AI on both the offensive and defensive side now, who's gaining the bigger advantage in this arms race? The white hats finding these bugs or the black hats exploiting them first?
I wish I would say that the company is getting the most of the value because yeah, they can fix all issues faster. But from my opinion, as I said at the beginning, I think that most of advantages are on a black hat side at that moment because yeah, they need to find just one issue while we need to catch them all. And white hats definitely getting some benefits from it as well, since then they can earn bounties much easier. But the truth is that they're getting just more duplicates, to be honest, because most of the white hats using the pretty same generic LLMs like Anthropic or ChatGPT and building something on top of them, like skills, like high level prompts, etc. But in the end of the day, same models catching pretty same issues, and white hats getting just more duplicates. So the this is the best if you can submit issue fastly, because you will be the first uh, who will get the bounty for it. But yeah, for companies at that moment, it's more painful, I would say, because yeah, all this AI spam just flooding their programs, and it's hard to manage it. For while black cats don't care about it at all. So yeah, choose your side, but
Yeah,
but yeah, but I hope that we will ship safer code with it. But as
definitely.
for yeah,
Yeah, hoping for the best.
but as for now, it looks like we just ship more code.
Let's go.
I'm not saying like safer code. We definitely ship more code, but not a safer one.
I mean, I would love to see all of you guys, somehow coming closer together and probably building something which really stands apart in the crowd. And if there's one thing which stands out from the entire conversation was, it's that AI isn't replacing the security expertise, but it is somehow changing the workflow around it. So yeah, that was from my end, guys. Today, I mean, like we have discussed a lot more about how AI at the intersection of Web3 and coming preferably from the security segment, what we are looking forward at in terms of agents being auditing all these smart contracts, and it's not really limited to smart contracts. It's also being dependent on the deployments, the infrastructure, and all this thing stuff. So yeah, this is going to be the time where I would like to invite all of you guys, if you would like to share something more about your project, or maybe if you would like to let the audience know anything is coming up. And once we are over with it, we are going to be closing it then. So Seth, starting from you, man.
Yeah, for sure. So, the first off, if anyone wants to reach out, you can always contact us. Contact me through like LinkedIn or just like our website alone. Within the next month or so, we're gonna be launching some pretty exciting stuff regarding just like bug bounty programs and things that we've been keeping under the radar. And yeah, so hopefully we're also trying to integrate to a bunch of the big RPC nodes right now. So yeah.
Awesome. Tim, over to you.
Yeah, so try out our software. We really are. I want to have to say a bit note about the just last conversation. Sorry. The models we're using, basically, this is every model is an agent, so you can come in as a company, as enterprise, and use our software, orchestrate the multiple models and multiple providers. What I'm trying to say here, I guess. So and we've proven that it gives really great results. So instead of trying to use one particular provider, you can use it on premise, or you can orchestrate Gemini with GPT, with cloud, etc., and get more. So try it out. Reach me on wherever you want, on Twitter, on Telegram, on Peersky. You can contact us, or the website as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, Alex, over to you, man.
Yeah, AI here to stay for sure. It's not going to disappear at any moment. So if you are worried that it will replace us, could be like, but what you I would recommend to focus on is seeing how you can improve your own workflows, how you can use it in your own working pipelines for auditing or for development. Anything works. It's like a hidden gem which you should use for sure to make yourself better version. Yeah. And if you are suffering from AI submissions, feel free to reach out. Hack and Proof. We helping with triage and keeping your codes safe. Yeah. Thank you for
Absolutely.
invitation and having me here today.
Most welcome, man. Most welcome. All right. Lastly, Tomer.
Yeah, so the best way to reach to any of us is just to Telegram. We're happy to discuss to anyone. If you're caring about like your Web 2 layer other than just a smart contract and want to get your organization on board to all the standards from the old days but renewed for Web3 developers, then Sentry is the place. And especially take a very close watch on our W3OS repo and open source toolings, because we are dropping bombs there, and just keep on at it, and like we're doing everything there. So just like that's the shill. Thank you so much for having me, guys. That was
I
great.
mean, just to wrap this up in one sentence, I would say, AI can eventually help scan large code bases probably faster, or maybe surface patterns and automate parts of the auditing process. But at least for now, I believe the deeper reasoning, the intuition, and the ability to understand complex protocol behavior still rely heavily on human expertise, because that's what we guys have been doing at Quill Audits. And huge thanks to all the speakers for sharing their insights today, and to everyone who tuned in. Conversations like this help the ecosystem better understand where the real security challenges and opportunities lie. So yeah, that was it from my end, guys. Thank you so much for joining in. Hopefully, we'll be looking forward to you guys to host sometime again. And yeah, bye bye.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. Thank you, Hardik.
Bye bye.
Bye,
Bye
guys.
bye.